Thank you. You guys are having a good time, I guess. Because, as you know, if you come to FanX and don't have a good time, I'll kill you.
Welcome, Mr. Hodder,
Thank
Salt
you.
Lake City. Welcome, everybody else. It's been 2 years since I've seen all your faces. At least I get to see half of them this year. First, let me say thank you for trying to keep everybody safe and healthy this year at FanX. I appreciate it so much. My name is Sean Smithson. I used to write for Fangoria. I contribute to Screen Anarchy, Movie Maker, and I'm a longtime Friday the 13th fan, and it's such an honor to sit here with the sweetest man with such a huge body count, Kane Hodder. So,
I'm not entirely sure I've ever been called sweet, so thank you.
I've seen you interact with your fans and been around you at film festivals. You're a sweetheart. Don't try to say that. You're not. So Kane, can we, well, my first question was a little weird. Okay, let's take it here then. Your first film experience was on California Split, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some knowledge, yes.
Robert Altman,
Yes?
who directed MASH, which led to the TV show. We have some of those people here. I'm curious about what your first day on there was like. You talked about it in the documentary, but did you get to meet Altman? Like, what was all that like for you?
Is there any way you can lose the mask?
I can.
Okay. So what?
So your day on California Split that first time.
Yeah.
What was the experience for you? Because I know it led to your love and your want to be in films. I'm sorry, there's an echo here, so it's messing with me.
You know, I was going to college at UNR, Nevada, Reno. I saw an ad that was looking for extras for a movie called California Split. And I thought, might as well, I don't have class. I went down there and just did some crowd scenes and stuff, and I just loved being on the set. And that was my first and only experience as an extra. And then later, I went to Los Angeles and saw the stunt show at Universal, and that made me think, wait a minute, that's something I think I could do, because I don't know how much if you've seen the documentary To Hell and Back or read the book Unmasked or anything, but I used to do crazy, dangerous things to entertain my friends and to scare them. And the classic story is going to Hawaii and going up on the 35th floor of a hotel on the observation balcony, and the railing is here, 35 floors down. I climbed on the outside of the railing, holding on. We were in Hawaii to play basketball for high school. And I climbed on the outside of the railing, and my friends were terrified that I was gonna fall. So to make it worse, I would let go of the railing and catch it again before I went. And they just could not handle it and took off, and I thought, wow, that was fun for me. And then, you know, realizing there was a career where you could do that kind of thing and get paid well for it, I decided I would try that. Unfortunately, did not get my degree, but went to LA, moved there, went to stunt school, and gradually started working as a stunt performer, and every job I ever got, I just loved it. I loved being on the set, and then being respected by all the cast and crew, because you're the people doing the dangerous stuff. It was just a perfect career for me, I thought. And you know, I just continued with it until I could start making a living, and then that happened. And in fact, the turning point in my stunt career was I did a movie with another actor who's here, Bill Catt. I did a movie called House.
Yes.
And that was the turning point in my career where I actually started making a living, a good living doing stunts, and it finally all started paying off, all the time invested and the suffering as I could barely pay bills and stuff, but yeah. And then shortly after House is when John Buechler came along and said he wanted me to play Jason,
So can you take us through that first time you were completely done up in the Jason regalia and you looked in the mirror and saw yourself? How powerful was that?
First of all, just being told I was going to play the character. I was a huge horror fan throughout my early career, just loved horror films, and then to know that there were 6 previous films, and this character is known around the world already after 6 films. And now, just try to imagine it, that you're a fan of this character, you love watching the previous films, you love horror in general, everybody knows the character Jason, and out of all the people in the world, you're the person that's going to be doing it. It was unbelievably surreal, and I thought it was the biggest honor to be chosen to play the character. I had to do whatever I could to make the character watchable and enjoyable. So I, basically invested my whole soul practically into playing the character the first time, and I loved every minute of it, even the 3.5 hours of makeup every day before we start shooting for 2 months, 3.5 hours of gluing stuff on, and it didn't deter me at all, and there was a lot of good stunts, and it was just a fun role.
What did you do to pass the time? And by the way, please line up at the mic for questions, because he's here for you, not just for me. So what did you do to pass the time?
I listened to music, and I entertained myself by doing things to scare the makeup effects people that were applying the pieces to me. Like they would think I'm asleep, and I would say, "Ow!" and they would just about lose it, and I'd say, "I'm just kidding," and I'd laugh, and I guess I was kind of a dick in a way, but you got to entertain yourself somehow with all those hours in the makeup chair, because even after you wrap shooting for the day, it's another 1.5 hours to take the stuff off. So it was quite a process.
I'd imagine you end up getting pretty tight with your makeup people too, because you're there so long.
Yeah.
This gentleman right here, hello, welcome.
Hi, I'm Sam. I was just wondering, outside of work, outside of acting, what's your secret hobby?
Oh, interesting question. I actually love to play golf, which is why I built a house in Park City.
All right.
Beautiful.
Did you say Park City?
Huh?
Did you say, where did you build a house?
Park City.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Welcome.
But the more secret hobby, not secret, but lesser known, that I really enjoy is poker. I always, every year I play in the World Series of Poker for the past 4 years, and it's gambling is fun anyway if you are into it, but what I like about poker is you can win still even if you don't have good luck, because you read your opponent, and that's what I love about it, the psychology of the game. You can, if you're good enough, and I don't pretend to be on that level yet, but these guys and women that are professionals can tell what your cards are just by looking at your eyes, and it's just by how you react when you look at them. So it's such a more complicated game than just luck, and I'm a big fan of it.
Thanks for your question. This gentleman.
Hey, I love the movies, but I just gotta know, what are your personal top 3 favorite horror movies?
Oh, another good question. Okay, so the one I always talk about that doesn't really hold up like I wish it would, it's the one that scared me when I was a kid, was The Birds. So that's always there. That's probably number 2. And the only one that beats that for me, and it was because it was such untouched subject matter at the time. And what movie can you think of? I believe came out in 1974, I think. And it is still a good movie to watch, even now.
Yep.
Bingo, The Exorcist.
I saw that when I was 5 years old, the year it came out, because I was a horror kid raised by Baltimore film students who were teaching me about Ray Harryhausen. I was reading Famous Monsters. We lived in Baltimore, which was already rough. Wow. And my mom's all, oh, new horror movie, la-di-da-di-da. And yeah, I was really twisted from it until I was about 16.
That explains a lot, doesn't it?
It's terrifying. And it led me here today. I'm going to interject real quick. One of my favorite trivia questions to ask horror fans is how many people have played Freddy Krueger? And they all answer Robert Englund and Jackie Earle Haley. Wrong. You've worn the glove, my friend.
I did. In Jason Goes to Hell, the scene where Freddy's hand comes out of the ground and grabs the hockey mask was my hand. As soon as I saw that in the script, I told everyone involved that I'm going to be wearing that glove. I don't care who else wants to.
Is it because you were a fan and wanted to be able to be like, yeah, that's me? Yeah.
And what was amazing is, you can't tell because it cuts away, but the glove was built by the same special effects guy that built Robert's gloves. So it was that accurate. The mask obviously was accurate, and the piece of Freddy sweater, I kept all of it. I kept the sweater and the glove.
I love it.
And the broken mask, because when I reached up and grabbed the mask and started pulling it, they wanted me to pull it all the way into the ground, which I did, but it kind of cuts away before that. But as I grabbed the mask, I could feel the mask breaking into pieces and the blades of the glove breaking off. So by the time I pulled it, because I was on a kind of a section of set like this where they had a hole, I was underneath the platform, they put dirt, and I just reached up and I pulled it all in. And when I pulled everything through, everything was broken. I had it repaired, but still it was, I didn't expect everything to just fall apart. So Freddy's glove sucks.
But you got the shot.
Not a good weapon.
Your question.
Hi, I'm Victoria.
Hello.
Originally, I'm a huge Paranormal fan. So I was watching Ghost Adventures a couple years ago, and you did an episode with them. How did it go?
I mean, I like those guys anyway because we had become acquaintances before I did the show. And as you know, I have my own paranormal group called Hollywood Ghost Hunters. And everyone in the group is interested in the paranormal, but also happens to do horror films. So I thought it was kind of an interesting group of paranormal investigators of people that are normally doing horror films. Danielle's in the group, and my buddy Rick McCullum and I founded the group. So it's all kinds of people that do horror films. So that in my mind, it was a group of people that are used to creating illusions, so that maybe that group of people wouldn't be so influenced by minor things. Because the problem I have with so much of the paranormal world is people almost inadvertently exaggerate what they've seen. They don't even realize they're doing it. Everybody that goes ghost hunting wants to tell a story. So the smallest thing will happen, and they make it into more, not purposely, but they want it to be more, so it becomes more. So our group is very careful about that kind of thing, exaggerating things. And I will tell you that I personally haven't had any really amazing occurrences while investigating the paranormal world, because I've been all over to all of the well-known places, the Waverleys, the Sloss Furnace, you know. Until in the last year, I did an investigation of a place called Balsam. I think you can find the somewhere online. And you probably heard me talk about it before, but whenever I go on an investigation, I always like to find out where the most active or where people feel the least comfortable. I always like to go to that place, and I like to go by myself. Because if you're investigating...
Because you're Kane Hodder.
Well, no, but I don't see how you could ever be really uncomfortable somewhere if you have somebody with you. That's just how I feel. So I always go to that place by myself, typically with a camera that I'm shooting that way and one that's shooting on me. And in Balsam, I took an obelisk, if you guys know what that is. It's kind of an odd device that says things when it picks it up in the atmosphere or the air or whatever. It says words, it pronounces words, and it's usually pretty random. But when I was going to the place where everybody was least comfortable in this location, being by myself and everything, I had enough light to see, but it was still pretty dark. I, for some reason, lost my balance. I just felt like, what was that? And right then, and you know, for me, this is pretty compelling, but right then the obelisk said pushed. Right after I lost my balance. So, I mean, you know, again, it could be absolutely nothing, but it's pretty much of a coincidence if it is not something paranormal. So at least I had something happen.
Creepy. Your question, sir.
Yeah. How do you be scary and menacing as an actor?
Really, I think the key to it being scary, menacing, whatever you want to say, is to be natural. Where as a viewer, I'm taken right out of a scene when I look at the person trying to be scary and it looks like they're acting. I know it sounds like a simple thing, but it's really quite difficult to look natural when you're doing something horrifically violent to someone or stalking them or whatever. And particularly when you play a character with a mask and no voice, those are two tools an actor uses to be intimidating. So now you got nothing. Now you have to be intimidating just by the way you move or stand. And that's when most people tend to try too hard. So there's been a couple times where people have said, hey, can you do the Jason walk at an event like this? Can you do the Jason walk? And I'm like, just kind of how I walk. So if you just watch me walking around, it probably looks similar. And somebody today at the table, and Also, it has been said before, and somebody told me this years ago, they said the thing they love so much about me as Jason is when, if I hear a noise or something, I turn my head and then my body follows. And the first time I was told that, I said, I didn't even know I did that. So that's what translates as looking natural. If you don't really intend to do something, you just do what feels right, and it works out. So I guess that's part of the success, is just, being like I'm not an actor.
So I basically have a yes and no question. Since, at least in my opinion, you are officially also someone who's played Freddy Krueger, have you ever been asked or solicited yourself to play Michael Myers? Because boy, that would be a 1-2-3 punch.
Well, let me just say this. I also did a stunt coordinated Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Wow. Yeah, oh yeah. I love that movie, by the way. Oh my gosh. Ken Faree.
And I stunt doubled R.A. Mihailov in the movie.
Oh, well.
So I did a few shots as Leatherface.
I should have known that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And that was fun. And it was only because it wasn't that R.A. couldn't physically do some of the stuff. It was more of a risk type thing. If he gets hurt doing this,
right,
getting hit by the car, for instance, when the car backs up into Leatherface, that's me. So if he jacked up his leg or something, now the whole crew is out of work because they have to either replace him or see if he can work with an injury. So it's more of a reasonable thing to have a stunt person do stuff once in a while.
You're so good at differentiating your character, like Victor Crowley. Which, wow. I remember seeing Hatchet at Fright Fest when it debuted with Behind the Mask down in LA. And it was like so groundbreaking back then because there was really no gore films. Buechler was doing some of his most amazing work. And it was like a movie you could mosh to. It was like the most metal horror movie ever, dude. But I was gonna ask very quickly, and then we'll get to you. How do you go about differentiating the physicality of your monstrous characters?
Well, I mean, obviously with Jason, 6 other actors had played the character before. So I still wanted to do my own thing, but that doesn't mean I ignore the previous performances. So I kind of tried to possibly integrate some little movements and stuff from previous actors, and then add my own flavor. Like everybody knows that one of the biggest success parts of playing Jason for me was the breathing, because anytime that you would see Jason just staring at somebody, it could be a mannequin. So I would look in the mirror and say, what can I do subtle that would still look like he's about to explode? And that's when I came up with the, breathing like that, because then it looks like, oh my God, he's about to do something. So that was the case with Jason, but with Victor, this was my character from the beginning. So I could just add, and Adam Green let me have free reign onto what I thought the character's movements would be. And if you ever watch all the movies again, at the beginning, like the first 1 or 2 Hatchet films, I made Victor very twitchy and, kind of like nervous almost in a way, because he hadn't killed people yet. So as each film progressed, I personally, in my mind, brought that down a little bit, as if, man, this guy's really getting used to killing people, and he's not nervous about it anymore. I don't know if it translates into the performance, but it helped me with, being on the set, so.
Your question, sir.
I loved the Friday the 13th video game that came out a little while ago and was ecstatic that they got you to do the performance capture. I've always wondered how they got you involved.
That's a good question because, it's a video game. So I was somewhat surprised when Gun, the company, it's Gun Interactive now, I think they call it, when they approached me and said, we're going to do a quality Friday the 13th game, and we want you to do the motion capture for Jason. Now, I was like, wow, that's amazing, because it's not a movie, but it was their opinion that it should be me, because even though it's animated, you can still see when you watch it that it's me. Even I think that. And just the way how I do the movements and stuff. And I was just extremely happy that they wanted me to do it. Tom Savini was involved, and Harry Manfredini, who did the music on the films, did the music cues. So it was kind of like old home week, and it took 2 years of off and on motion capture to get everything for the game. And unfortunately now, because of the litigation, there's a lot of content that'll probably never make the game. And I'm so disappointed, because there were some things that we did that would be amazing in the game. Now, also, an addendum to that is that Gunn approached me at the end of last year and said, we're doing another video game of another horror franchise that everyone knows. I cannot say what it is yet, they're not allowing it, but it's a horror franchise you know very well, and I am doing the motion capture for The Killer again. And
right on. A nice adjacent industry. A nice adjacent industry for a performer like yourself. Your question.
Hi, I was wondering how it was working with Twisted and Sid Haig in the music videos for Sick Man and A Place in the Woods.
Rest in peace, Sid Haig, by the way.
Yeah, we do miss Sid, but I don't know how much you know about my friendship with Twisted, but we're quite good friends, and actually all the way back to ICP days. The first video I ever did was my personal favorite ICP song. I don't know if anybody listens to ICP, but
You can say it.
There's a song called Another Love Song, which I still listen to a lot. And there's a scene where, because Joe and Joey are in it, and Twisted, and there's a girl that is in a car, and she's driving around, and at one point she starts spinning 360s in like a trailer park. And that was me driving the car, and it was just fun working with those guys, because I had enjoyed their music, still do, and I just did Twisted's convention in Detroit 2 or 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Man, that whole crew's so good to their fans too. It's amazing.
Yeah, they are, but yeah, they're good buddies.
Fire away, sir.
I was just wondering, what's your favorite version of Jason you've played?
Well, obviously, because I love the character, I enjoyed every single film I did as Jason, because let's face it, when I did Part 7, which that is my favorite, by the way, Part 7, because I had the most stunts to do. It contains my favorite fire stunt I've ever done. And the look of Jason I thought was incredible with the makeup and stuff. And so, that's my favorite. But after I did Part 7, for about 10 months, I was starting to do conventions because I was the new Jason. I was one of 7 guys now. And I did a couple Fangoria conventions and started signing autographs and stuff. And I used to sign Kane Hodder, Jason number 7. And I only did that for about 10 months because the following year, they told me I was coming back for part 8. So after that, I dropped the number 7. But if you ever see an autograph of mine that has number 7 on it, far more rare than anything else. But I'd say 7 and then 8, probably, just because if you can imagine being in costume, shooting a Friday the 13th film, and you're in the middle of Times Square. Just an unbelievable experience. I felt like the biggest rock star in history because there were hundreds of people all around Times Square being held back by NYPD, watching us film, kicking the radio and all that stuff. And it was just an experience. I don't think I'll ever have something like that experience again, so.
I would have liked to have seen Jason rip through the Disney store in Times Square. But that's just me. Again, I saw The Exorcist when I was 5, so. Let me ask you this. What is, besides like maybe working on the Twisted video or whatever, what's the most joyous experience you've ever had on a film set?
Oh, there's so many.
I bet.
I mean, it's just.
Let me ask you this then. The funnest experience working with Adam Green, because he's a crazy guy.
Well, not only is Adam Green crazy, but Joel David Moore is crazy. And he was in the first Hatchet film. And this is what I was going to get into earlier. There's a scene in, I think, the first Halloween movie that somebody makes a comment, well, how did he get there? How did Michael get from point A to point B to kill somebody, something along those lines? How did he get there? And so Adam Green thought, let's do a short called Driving Lessons, where Joel David Moore is a driving instructor, and I am Michael.
So you have played Michael Myers?
Technically,
wow. Yes. Setting him up and knocking him down, dude, for real.
But it's not a film, but you know, it's pretty funny because it's just almost the same thing as, I don't know if you remember, if you've ever seen the Arsenio Hall show where I was a guest on there, in character, in the real costume from part 8 too, by the way. And he asked me questions, and of course I didn't speak, so it was funny.
I think we're out of time. I'm seeing a 0 on the clock. I'm sorry. Thanks again for coming. Kane, thanks again for showing up and
no worries.
Having fun with us.
Thank you, guys. Have fun.
Please go to his table.